Consumers like cloud computing because of the convenience and fun of getting email and social network information anywhere. One research survey found that almost 70% of Americans use at least one cloud service. The Electronic Privacy Communications Act of 1986 is supposed to protect electronic communication. However, the law is more than 30 years old and does not cover cloud computing because it didn't exist at the time. The American Civil Liberties Union wants to make sure the cloud does not reign on people's privacy. The group is part of the Digital Due Process Coalition that is working to update online privacy laws. Jay Stanley is a privacy expert at the ACLU.
We need to see the actual laws passed by Congress made much stronger. This ECPA, Electronic Communications Privacy Act, made much more stronger, brought up to date. It's completely out of date.
Stanley says inconsistencies in the law have made it easier for law enforcement and government agencies to demand that service providers give them consumer data stored on cloud servers. Ryan Radia is with the Competitive Enterprise Institute in Washington. He says providers will release information without the consumer's knowledge.
The more data government has, the better it can enforce crimes, but it also has some pretty significant disadvantages. First and foremost, a lot of the times the information that's being handed over to the government isn't actually information that pertains to a crime.
Radia says the coalition is not trying to stop law enforcement from getting information to capture criminals or terrorists, but to give the average person the right to privacy.
And so this isn't about crippling law enforcement unreasonably or making it so criminals can get away with crimes with impunity. This is about ensuring that we have a set of reasonable constraints, that we protect people's civil liberties.
A poll by the Pew Internet and American Life Project says 65% of Americans are concerned that law enforcement agencies could access their files. Project director Lee Rainey says most people don't realize how vulnerable their emails are.
When in fact it's going out onto someone else's servers, it's going out onto a backbone that can be monitored, and so there are ways in which the law enforcement community can capture some of these communications and analyze them.
Some internet companies are worried that concerns about privacy could hold back the growth of cloud computing. Baron Soko with the Progress and Freedom Foundation in Washington says companies could lose business.
We become afraid to use those services. We don't trust the fact that when we put our data into one of these cloud service providers, that it's actually going to be protected.
Critics say that emails and other information sent through cloud providers are no longer private anyway, just by virtue of being on the web. But members of the Digital Due Process Coalition say sending an email should be no different from mailing a letter. That is protected by law from being opened. So far, there is no pending legislation to update the Electronic Privacy Communications Act. But members of the coalition are holding discussions with lawmakers on possible changes to the bill. Deborah Block, VOA News, Washington.